In this video, we will be looking at how to factorize and solve harder equations in which the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So we know that the normal form of a quadratic equation, where a, b, and c are numbers, and a is known as the coefficient of x squared because that's the number before the x squared. So in this video, we will look at what happens when the coefficient of x squared, which is a, is greater than 1. So as we can see in the first one, the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. It is 2. In the second one, it is 3. And in the third one, it is also 3. So here we're going to look at two different methods in which we can factorize and solve equations where the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So for the first method, just like when we are factorizing the easier quadratics, we first have to find a number which gives us a product. Now, if this was a quadratic equation where the x squared coefficient was 1, normally we would be looking for a product of 2. However, this time, because we've got a coefficient of x squared which is 2, we have to multiply both of these, which gives us 4. So that means we are looking for a product of 4. And those same two numbers should add to give us a sum of 5. So the only difference now is that we are looking for a product not just of our c term, which is the number term, but we are multiplying the number with the coefficient of x squared. So if we look at the factors of 4, we've got 1 and 4 and we've got 2 and 2. So we are going to use 1 and 4. 1 times 4 gives us 4 and 1 add 4 gives us 5. We are then going to open our bracket, but this time we're going to put 2x as the first term of the bracket rather than x. Now when we multiply both of these, we need to get 2x squared. But if we multiply 2x and 2x, that gives us 4x squared. So that means we're going to have to divide one of these brackets by 2. So now that we've put 2x, we can put in both the factors that we have chosen. So the first bracket can read 2x plus 1, and the second bracket 2x plus 4. Now if we look at which bracket is divisible by 2, it is the second bracket that is divisible by 2. So we're going to write the first bracket as it is, but for the second bracket, each of these terms is divisible by 2, so we're going to divide that one by 2. So here 2 cancels out 2, and 2 divided by 4 gives us 2. So we are going to rewrite the second bracket. Our first bracket remains 2x plus 1, but now the second bracket would become x plus 2 is equal to 0. And here we have now factorized our quadratic equation. If we want to go ahead and solve this quadratic equation, we would equate each bracket to 0 separately. So for the second bracket, we know that if x plus 2 is equal to 0, that means x has to be minus 2. So in the first bracket, if we know 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, we can just solve this like a normal linear equation to find x. So we would minus 1 on both sides, so we would have 2x is equal to minus 1. And if we divide both sides by 2, we know that x would be equal to minus a half. So our two solutions would be x is equal to minus a half and x is equal to minus 2. If you want to see more examples on this method, then please do check out the link in the description box. So for the second method, we would be using the same product and sum. The first step would be the same as we did in the first method. We need to find two numbers that give us a product of 2 and 2, which would be 1 and 4. And those same two numbers should add to give us 5, which are 1 and 4. Now what we would do after we found the two factors is we would break 5x up into its sum. So we would put 2x squared as it is, but for 5x we would break it up into the sum. So instead of writing 5x, we're going to break it up into x or 1x plus 4x, which is the same as 5x. All we've done is broken it up into its sum. And we are also going to keep the plus 2 as it is. We are then going to split this equation through the middle and factorize each of these parts separately. So for the first part of the equation, we would factorize this normally. So we look at the common terms in 2x squared and 1x, and the common term is x. So we put x and we open the bracket. To make x into 2x squared, we have to multiply it by 2x. So we put 2x as our first term. And to make x into plus 1x, we just have to multiply it by a plus 1. So whatever bracket we have put here needs to be the same for our second factorization. So we are going to put 2x plus 1 here as well. So now if we try to factorize 4x plus 2, we need to check what did we do to 2x in order to make it into 4x, and we can see that we have multiplied by 2. And if we multiply 1 by 2, that also gives us 2. So here we've basically separated the equation into two parts and then factorized each part separately, but kept the bracket term the same for each part. So now here we've got the first term of our factorized form, which is the same in both brackets, which is 2x plus 1. And for the second bracket, we just need to collect what we have put outside each bracket. So we are just going to combine the x from the first part and the plus 2 from the second part. So here we have factorized this equation. And if we want to solve it, we will do the same as we did earlier while we were doing the first method. We are going to separately equate both brackets equal to 0. So x plus 2 is equal to 0, which means x has to be minus 2. And if 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, that means x has to be minus a half. So as we can see, using both methods, we got exactly the same answer, but it just depends on which method each individual finds easy. So if you want to see more examples on each of these methods, I will put links to both videos in the description box.